All right, baby, we're live. We're cooking on this Sunday night, but we got to let it breathe just for a moment here to bring on the Facebookers. We still love them. It's not their fault that Facebook sucks. A lot of podcasters hate YouTube. I don't understand why. I love YouTube. YouTube's great. And of course, all of our subs and all of our dear members on YouTube. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Mile High Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Chad Jensen. With me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him, Zach Kelberman. Zach, the NFL Combine is just about in the books, and it's been an eventful week. It's been nice having a little bit of news come our way after the Broncos the season's basically been over for about a solid month now. Anything jump out to you? We got a couple of topics we're going to get to tonight, but did anything jump out to you by way of a takeaway or two from this year's Combine?
I think what jumped out to me was the fact that where the Broncos are light, this combine and this draft is heavy in certain areas. Talk about offensive lineman, linebacker, receiver. There's some running backs as well the Broncos could look at. So I think my takeaway was all the major combine invites, they kind of intersect with the Broncos' needs, and there's definitely some guys that I want coming out of this week.
I'm excited, man. A few of my guys, like as you guys know, I've been a big fan of Jadarian Price, the Price is Right guy. He had an okay 40, but all of his other testing was actually quite disappointing. It makes me wonder, unless he absolutely crushed it in his meetings, which he may have, makes me wonder if he's going to actually perhaps be there for the Broncos in round 2, if like that late. Mike Washington Jr., who we watched at the Senior Bowl, Scott and I, for 3 days, and I liked him the most out of all the running backs in Mobile. He tested off the freaking field, dude. He helped himself out a lot. Some really interesting running backs in this class. But Zach, if the Broncos do what they're supposed to do and what they plan to do, and that is fill roster holes in free agency well before they get to the draft, right? Because free agency is opening in 10 days. The draft's not till the end of April. Then
Right.
Some of these running back considerations and wide receiver, for that matter, might not be as pressing relative to the draft.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why it's so hard. We talk about it almost every podcast. It's so hard to project what the Broncos are going to do in April when I know it's March 1st now, but March hadn't even rolled around yet. And a lot of the Broncos plans for the draft will be made from the outcome of free agency. I hope, Chad, as do you, that they solve that area of need on the open market. They go get a veteran, whether it's re-signing Dobbins or bringing in someone like Kenneth Walker. I think we both hope they take care of as many offensive needs as possible going into the draft. That way they can go true BPA at number 30.
We got some stuff to get to, but let's say hi to the chat. First and foremost, we got the Lady D checking in off the top rope.
Thank you.
We love you, Deanna. I hope you're doing well, and thank you for being just such an awesome friend and dear member and supporter of MHH. She says, "Hi, Chad, Zach, and Scott. Hi, everyone. Back from vacation." That's what I was almost going to say. I should have read it maybe first because I was going to say, "I hope your travels have been good," and then I caught myself. I'm like, wait. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. I think she might have been traveling in January. We're now in March. Anyway, she's back from vacation, Zach, to minus 38. 38 below. That's a rough life. I'm so ready to move. Are you guys planning on moving? A lot to catch up on, she says. I heard they tagged J-Mac. Yes, they're planning on tendering him as a restricted free agent at the second round level. So that'll give him a $5.8 million salary in 2026. I heard she says Marvin Mims got paid. Who do you feel standing out that the Broncos might pick up MHH for life? So I don't know where you heard the Mims thing, but that's not something that has happened. So it might have been something. Beware the fake news on Facebook, guys. That's one of the bummers of the way they've pushed out legitimate publishers like Sports Illustrated, like Mile High Huddle. They don't care about what we do anymore, and it's given rise to the BS and the fake news and the AI and the blah. So be careful of that stuff. But there's a lot of guys standing out who the Broncos might pick up. Man, I just talked about one of them, and that's Mike Washington Jr. But if the Broncos do what they're supposed to do, Zach, they might not need him because J.K. Dobbins, in case you missed it, Deanna, at the Combine on Tuesday, George Paton made it clear that the Broncos do want to re-sign J.K. Dobbins. No guarantees, obviously, but they want to bring him back. And if they do that, Zach, then you're in pretty good shape, but you need one more move. Now, you could afford to wait till the draft if you don't want to go spend on a running back, but I think they should just capitalize and go get a Tyler Algier.
Yep, exactly. Or a Rico Dowdle or a Kenneth Walker, or maybe Brees Hall does shake free from New York and you can make an offer to him. But yeah, I think we're both in agreement. And Deanna, and thank you so much. First and foremost, I see you have another super. I'll make my comment kind of concise here. They did make the right move with J Mac. I hope personally, Chad, they sign him to an extension. Now, don't let him play out on a 1-year deal. I think he deserves that. They did not tender Jaleel McLaughlin. We haven't gotten a chance to talk about that either. And they are bringing back Tyler Bidet. So a few of those moves, Deanna, in case you haven't heard yet, that's where the Broncos are leaning. But we both hope, really, really, really hope that they go out and get a veteran on the open market. But thank you so much again.
Which, by the way, there's another name expected to be hitting the market, which is Aaron Jones. Minnesota Vikings plan on releasing him if they can't trade him. Word is, I think it was Schefter that reported that. So a year ago, Zach, Aaron Jones, a lot of people were kind of clamoring for him. He would have made a lot of sense, but he ended up re-upping and staying in Minnesota 2 years, $20 million. The Broncos ended up drafting RJ Harvey. And so now that you have RJ Harvey, I'm not sure, real quick before we grab Lady D's second super, how much sense it would make going after an Aaron Jones. Plus now, Zach, he's a year older. He's 31, just turned 31 in December.
Exactly. Yeah, I would re-sign Dobbins 10 out of 10 times before I would bring in an Aaron Jones. He's not a wholesale upgrade on what you had. Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, Algier, those are arguable upgrades. Aaron Jones would not be.
Lady D's, pardon me, second super chat off the top rope, legendary, mythical. We love you so much, Lady D. And this time of year, trust, it goes a long way. Helps us out so much. She says, hit the like button, share and subscribe. It's so worth it. Plus, it helps Chad and Zach. This is true. And guys, we're pushing still our goal. We're trying to get to 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we're at about 1,700 till we hit our goal. So something like 35% of folks who watch these live streams, whether it's live or after the fact, are not subscribed. So if you guys sub, you can help us hit that 40K mark on YouTube. And when we hit that mark, we're going to celebrate. It's going to be a gas. We're going to raffle off stuff to the community. Help us get to 40K. She says, do you think the Broncos will work on the offensive line? And then any line on free agents as to who they will look at. MHH for life. So, Zach, that's something George Paton talked about also on Tuesday, saying how important it is to continually invest in the offensive line, keep adding to the offensive and defensive lines, because you don't want to, quote, age at the same time. So, and you got a couple guys, Zach, especially at tackle, that are kind of aging at about the same point, in Garrett Bowles and Mike McGlinchey. So it would not surprise me if, for the first time since Garrett Bowles was drafted in 2017, a draft pick not only gets invested in an offensive tackle, but maybe even an early one.
Maybe even a first-round pick. That's exactly what I was going to say. First and foremost, thank you again, Deanna. I know I sound like a broken record, but your generosity this time of year, like Chad was talking about, is truly incredible. Thank you. I did tweet about this the other day. I said, do not be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying it's my preference, because it's not. But there is a non-zero chance, Chad, the Broncos will go offensive line in round 1. Sean Payton almost like gave it away with how much he was talking about it unprompted. And I have this quote really quickly. I took it out of the major quote. He goes, historically speaking, for me, we've always invested maybe early draft capital for that position. And he was talking about how important the offensive line is. So I'm not saying they're going to take it over receiver or running back or whatever, but do not be surprised come late April if number 30 overall is an offensive lineman.
Wouldn't be a complete shocker. They got to start getting busy there, Lady D, and bringing in some options. Now, on one hand, their depth, they really like Alex Palczewski, who's more their swing guard, can play some tackle so long as it's on the right side. Pardon me. And then, of course, they really, really like Frank Crum. They believe, Zach, he can do more than catch touchdowns in playoff games. But every time I've seen him called into action, mostly, obviously, Zach, in the preseason through 2 summers, he's very athletic. He's got a lot of talent, but he's still pretty raw. I have a hard time trusting him. Like, if something happened to McGlinchey, I'd be hecka worried.
Plus, they were counting on Nick Gargiulo before he got hurt last year, and who knows what he's going to come back as, if he comes back fully healthy, or if he'll ever be the player he was before the injury. So, Deanna, to your point, they really can't count on. They don't have a superstar backup waiting in the wings. I like Palcho a little more than Chad does, but I'm even saying that he's not a finished product by any means. So, if they can use early capital for the offensive line, I think they should go that route for once.
I'm seeing here, if I can pull this up, if we can look at free agent offensive tackles, because I think they're actually pretty solid inside with who they've got coming back, which is not only Palczewski, I think he's exclusive rights. He might be restricted. Either way, he'll be back. And then obviously Alex Forsyth, Nick Gargiulo will be back. Hopefully he is able to recover from that knee injury. But unrestricted guys, here's the field. You ready at tackle? Jonah Williams, who's more of a right tackle, Cam Robinson. I'm just throwing out the names. Rob Havenstein, Braden Smith, Jack Conklin, Trey Pipkins. Those are some of the names at the top, but the Broncos don't need a starter. They need a swing guy. So we'll see how it matriculates. We're not that far out, Lady D. We're only 10 days away from it actually opening, and we are 8 days away from legal tampering beginning. So that happens March 9th, where teams can start at least talking to prospective free agents outside of their team and agreeing to terms. Then when the new league year hits 2 days later, they can sign on the line that is dotted. Sam Bam in the house, brother. Great to see you. Another one of our Mount Rushmore superstars and a dear member saying, evening, guys. Happy March 1st. We're all ready to march. I mean, and there's something comforting in that. Time can fly when you're having fun. That's part of what we do with these streams, Zach, is we're passing the time. We're making that clock move a little bit faster. Yep. He says, I forgot to ask this the other day, but what are your thoughts on Sean Payton ceding the play calling to Webb? What's the main reason for it that you feel? And do you think it was a Sean Payton decision or a Peyton Penner decision? Go Broncos. No. I do definitely think that was a Sean Payton decision. I mean, that's why they brought in Sean Payton, the whole package. A big part of that is culture, experience, Zach, competency, scheme, play calling, Sean Payton. But you answer this one. I've done a lot of talking here. Why do you believe Sean Payton decided to give up at this late stage in his career as a head coach to Davis Webb, who will become a first-time play caller, right? Like, he's one thing if you're going to bring in Joe Brady, like he was hoping to, maybe before the Bills decided, what are we doing? Let's hire this guy as our head coach. At least Joe Brady had a lot of time on task. Why Davis Webb?
First of all, Sam, thank you so much. George Payton can't tell Sean Payton SH you know what. I mean, he has no power when it comes to those kind of dynamics. Greg Penner could, but I don't think Greg Penner is enough of a micromanager to step in when Sean Payton took him to the AFC Championship game. This came directly from Sean Payton, and it was a very proactive move, and it was a very surprising move in the sense that he put his ego aside, he put his pride aside. He realized that he was a detriment, his play calling at times, to the process. He realizes maybe, Chad, the NFL has passed him by just slightly, that it's not 2006 anymore with Drew Brees. It is 2026 with Bo Nix. And at times, his play calling did not reflect that. He also talked about him getting in the play calls too slowly, the play calls being too wordy. I just think he felt the fan pressure. He just looked in the mirror and he realized the situation. And it's a young man's business. He has a guy on staff he wants to keep. It just made too much sense not to happen, Sam. I don't think there was any one reason. It was a coalition of multiple reasons and factors.
He talked about, Sean did, in a very reluctant way. You could tell he was very uncomfortable admitting all this stuff publicly. And then once it was finally out of him, then he seemed to relax a little and could speak a little more, I don't know, clearly on the subject. But among the many things he said about Davis Webb, he talked about just how freakishly talented he is, and that they met several times during the 2025 season. And at times in those meetings, they would discuss Davis Webb's role as the pass game coordinator, his future, his ambitions, what he wants. Then, of course, the season, and that's when Sean Payton says he started genuinely thinking about, maybe I'm giving up plays here pretty soon, because Davis Webb then hits the hiring cycle market and he's a pretty hot ticket item. According to Sean Payton, there was no ultimatum. There was no, from Davis Webb. All right, coach, I'll come back as long as you make me offensive coordinator and give me play calling duties. I'll come back. That there wasn't like that, but it was Sean Payton's way of thanking basically Davis Webb for sticking around and staying with what they started with Bo Nix and the whole 9 yards, plus what he knows about Davis Webb, what he's seen him call, right? It's not like he's never called plays. It's just that all of his play calling has been in exhibition games. But Sean Payton sees the plays he turns in to the game plan each and every week. And, it'll probably end up being, Zach, like a 75-25. 75% of the calls on game day will be Davis Webb. And then Sean Payton will step in here and there, making a call, probably a lot of red zone stuff, because say what you want to about his diminishing returns as a play caller, Zach. He's still, especially over the last 2 years with Bo, has been one of the best in the red zone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been more good than bad with Sean Payton, but the bad, when it was bad, it was more glaring than the good was, I think. And that's where Sean Payton realized that, hey, maybe I need to pass the baton and maybe we need to go in a different direction. But I also talked about the lack of ego and pride involved subtly, because in the background of this, he has to be thinking of his coaching tree too, Sean. And if Davis Webb goes out and balls out and quits himself well as a play caller, lands a head coaching job, goes on and becomes a head coach, who does that reflect well on? The guy who took him from being an unknown backup to making a positional coach to a play caller to a future head coach. That reflects well on Sean Payton. So there's a win-win scenario here where he looks good and the Broncos get better at the same time.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it because what's the worst that could happen? If Sean Payton's wrong and Davis Webb falls on his face, or the Broncos as an offense fail to launch, Payton's right there waiting in the wings, Zach, to take it back over, and we're back on, pace and everything. So I think there's nowhere to go but up from it. And specifically what I'm hoping Davis Webb can improve as the play caller is the down-to-down consistency in the run game, and then the deep field stuff, right? The Broncos were one of the least explosive. That's not me making like a, qualitative statement or opinion. That's the fact. They were one of the lowest number of explosive plays in the NFL last year. So that needs to really change, Zach, if Bo Nix is going to take that next step in year 3.
Yeah, work the middle of the field. Challenge defenses deep. Don't go away from the running game. Cut down on the screen passes, or at least call them where appropriate. Quality over quantity. There's some tweaks that Davis Webb can make, easy elementary tweaks, Chad, where the offense can take the next step with Bo Nix in 2026.
Oh, yeah. Papa Bear, great to see you again tonight, my brother. Always in the hizzy, always throwing down a super before we go live. We do not take you for granted, big dog. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. He said, good evening, Broncos country. And yes, we're all, I think, in a position where we can really appreciate the hashtag God bless the USA. And of course, as always, let's go, Bo. Great to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. We also have here the Lady D, who dropped 2 very generous Top Rope super chats, as well as she gifted 20 Mile High Huddle YouTube memberships to folks in the chat. So thank you for that, Lady D. I know the folks who got the gifts will be stoked as well. You are so awesome. And some hellos real quick to the dear members. We got Papa Bear. We got Todd Ostendorf. We got Jordan Lewis. Good to see you, pal. We got Mike Thompson in the house, among others that have been filing in. It's great to see you. So, Zach, as I'm doing a quick skim here, I want to grab this from Todd. It says, RJ Harvey had a great rookie year by many measurements in receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, yards from scrimmage. It was a good year. It was a good year. Yeah. I mean, he had 2 explosives, right? He had a 40 and a 50-yard run. I think the 40 was a touchdown. In the season opener, Zach, he had that 50-yarder against the Titans. Right. You're going, whoa, we're in business with this guy. The problem was he's, at least at that stage in his career, he could develop further, and the Broncos, obviously, Zach, believe that he's going to. Problem was, as a rookie, when J.K. Dobbins went down and the Broncos said, all right, RJ, you're going to be our primary guy. You're going to be the lion's share of the carries. You couldn't even say he was hit or miss. Like, the hits were so few and far between. He was mostly miss. I mean, how many games, maybe 1 from week 11 on, 2 at the very most, I'm just going off the top of my head, Zach, where he averaged on a yards per carry basis higher than 3 yards. That's not good. And so, he's got to develop, and the Broncos believe he can. So it's that down to down consistency aspect. If you, Zach, make enough moves at running back to allow him to kind of take some of the pressure off, not having to be the guy, and he can be your third down guy and your red zone weapon and the guy you move around the formation, that's where he's best suited and where you're going to get the best bang for buck.
Exactly. I liken it a lot to Courtland Sutton, where you don't want him as your wide receiver one. He's kind of a low end wide receiver one, but he's a very high end wide receiver two if put in that role and not put in a role where he's kind of overextending himself. That was RJ Harvey. He's a bang up RB2 to have, but you don't want him starting a full season as your RB1. Hopefully the Broncos will rectify that.
No doubt. We got Sue Gibson in the house also, who's asking Deanna how her vacation was. Yeah, you'll have to tell us, Lady D. I hope it was awesome. Yeah, I'm just kind of catching up here. We got Shannon Mills saying, hi, everyone. Major dental issues, hoping to stay on the whole time, but unsure. Sorry to hear that, Shannon. I actually feel your pain. I've been going through a very similar thing the last 8-9 days, and I'm starting to be on the mend from it, but man, that can really drag you down. It's fine. It's one of those things, Zach. If you've ever had one, you just know where everything's fine until it's not. And when it's not, oh my goodness, it's like DEFCON 5. We got to get this addressed. And it almost always, in my case, happens on a Friday night or Saturday. You're not getting in to see a dentist. You're just like, put some mice on it. What has worked very well for me, my friend, for dental pain is, and this is not medical advice, but I'll just say what I've done the last week that's helped me out a lot. It's a little ibuprofen combination with a little bit of Tylenol at the same time. For whatever reason, it does well for me. But get feeling better.
Yeah, Shannon, nothing worse than dental issues than tooth pain. I feel you on that. Absolutely. Get better, feel better. Thank you for checking in, but take care of yourself, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
And at least tomorrow is Monday. Hopefully you can get that looked at. Larry jumping in. What's up, Larry? Good to see you. Good to have you with us, big dog. He says, why isn't anyone talking about trading for Alvin Kamara? Sean Payton mentioned him on multiple interviews last week out of the blue. It makes me think he wants to trade for him. Well, I think the reason no one's really talking about it is just because all the boxes Kamara checks, RJ Harvey checks. If you look at the heyday, latter years heyday of Sean Payton in New Orleans, Zach, you had Mark Ingram and you had Alvin Kamara. So you've got the Kamara role figured out with RJ. What you need now is the Ingram role, that down to down, first and second down guy that can carry the rock between the tackles and be consistent. And they had that going early last year, half the year anyway, right? Till week 10 with J.K. Dobbins, but you can't rely on J.K. So that's more of the kind of running back, Zach, that they need. They don't need two Alvin Kamaras. How are you going to use them both?
And plus, Alvin Kamara is more of a name player where you hear his name and you think it's still the guy from 4 or 5 years ago. It's definitely not. He's a broken down running back who's now on the wrong side of 30. So if you be trading for him, acquiring him or whatever, you're basically giving yourself a net negative. You're not moving the arrow upward. Go out and get a younger running back or a running back with a better skill set that hasn't fallen off a cliff. And Larry, I'm not attacking you personally because a lot of Broncos fans also want this to happen, but go watch Kamara's film from last season. He is washed. I hate to say it because he was such an exciting player, but there's not a lot of tread left on those tires. He has a lot of carries and touches to his name in his career. He is not the same guy anymore. He's going to fall off a cliff fast. I would stay away.
I mean, they did, Larry, the Saints did have some organizational upheaval over the last couple of years with coaching changes, quarterback changes, bringing along a rookie quarterback last year. And Tyler Shuck started to really show out down the stretch. But if you look at Kamara, who, by the way, we were just saying, pass on Aaron Jones. He's already 31. Well, Kamara turns 31 before the season starts. He'll turn 31 about the time training camp begins. And this past season, to Zach's point, he had he missed, first of all, 6 games. I don't know if you're aware of that. 131 carries, 471 rush yards, and only 1 rushing touchdown. He had 33 receptions, but a low average of just 5.6 yards per catch, 0 touchdowns through the air. So he's starting to regress. And when they start to regress, Zach, in terms of production, and that also coincides with missing time with injury, because one of the things that happens as you get older is why Father Time's undefeated is not only do you suddenly become more susceptible to injury, but it takes a lot longer to recover and heal from the injuries. And so that's not to say he's completely stick a fork in him, but he's getting pretty close, and he's had a great career. I just don't think he's meant to finish it in Denver.
Exactly. Yeah. I would be really mad if he was a free agent and the Broncos signed him and wasted money. I would be even just more furious if they wasted draft picks to bring in a running back that's on the wrong side of 30 now. Go out and aim higher for your quarterback and for your offense. Go out and get a Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, Algier, and put this to bed. But thank you, Larry, for the super.
Yeah, dude, appreciate you. And as Scott says in our private chat, the Saints would have to also eat some dead money because he's got an $11.5 million base salary. So he's just not worth that anymore. Unfortunately, that's just the way that cookie crumbled. We got Dale in the house. D-Dub checking in from Paradise from the top rope. Love you, Dale. Hope you're doing well, big dog. Good to see you. He says, hello, gents and the MHH faithful. I'm on a roll, making it live. Yes, sir. That's true. Looking forward to the offseason moves. There are a lot of players available in free agency in the draft that meet our needs. Kenyon Sadiq, boy, oh boy. You want to talk about, Zach, one of the top 2 or 3 winners of the combine. Kenyon Sadiq is up there, and he already had good draft stock. But he goes on to say Sadiq would be the biggest catch because plenty of good running backs and linebackers out there. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Sadiq, I don't think before I was looking at him like a pretty feasible possibility at 30. Now I don't think he gets past the top 15. So if the Broncos wanted him, you're going to have to trade up and give up some capital. But he had some cool things to say this week too, D-Dub, about Bo Nix and the Broncos. And of course, most of these guys, they're smart enough to know that when they're at the podium, if they get asked directly, Zach, about playing with this guy on that team, they're going to say, oh, it would be a dream to play with this guy on that team, just like it would be with any team. I just want to get drafted. But he had some really nice things to say about Bo and the Broncos.
Yeah, that's a good point, and thank you for bringing up his name. Chad asked me earlier my takeaways. I totally brain farted the fact that Sadiq blew up the combine as we thought he would, and he's just such a perfect fit on paper for the Broncos. But like Chad said perfectly, I don't think there's a chance he makes it to 30 now, anywhere close. Although, if he does make it to 20, 21, 22, if I'm George Paton, I'm Sean Payton, I'm picking up the phone. I'm trying to trade up and move up for him. That's a player that can fit like a glove in this offense and with your quarterback for the next 5 or 10 years. Love the guy, and thank you so much, Dale, for your Superman.
And they've got that connection already. I mean, he didn't play a ton as a freshman when Bo was a senior, his last year there at Oregon, but he played enough and was involved enough to know Bo Nix and learn from his example. And that's kind of some of the stuff he talked about this week. There's an article up, Dale, if you go and search it on milehighhuddle.com, that we wrote up about that's pretty interesting stuff. So, but as he talks about too, plenty of good running backs and linebackers out there. And I've already mentioned Jadarian Price. Like, I kind of think that was a good thing to happen because I still think he's going to be a stud in the NFL, but maybe now he's not that shoe-in back half of the first round guy. He might be around in round 2. So that's something interesting, Zach, to where maybe the Broncos trade out of the first round and they're somewhere in that top 15 in round 2. I would be interested in him there. And there's still now maybe a chance that he could even be there later where they actually pick it, whatever it is, 62. But Mike Washington running a 4.33, I did not expect that Scott and I watching him 3 days in a row, you see a lot of reps and carry it and then boom. And he's more of that power kind of guy. Did not expect, Zach, that he had those kind of wheels on him. And that's going to help him out a lot.
Yeah, it's a good point, Dale. There are a lot of options for the Broncos, and it's almost like a win-win in terms of running back, at least. If you don't get one of the big names on the open market, you can fall back on the draft. You can bring back J.K. Dobbins and kind of run it back what you had in 25, just fully healthy, preferably. Linebacker is where, if they don't go offensive line or one of the popular positions like running back or receiver, linebacker is where I think they go. There is a glut of linebackers that fit at 30, or maybe even they move back a spot or two and go out and get the guy, pick up an extra draft pick. There are a couple that would fit from day one that would be starters in Vance Joseph's defense. So again, you can't bring back Singleton, Sternad, or whatever. You have a fallback plan in the draft. It's a good point here. Thank you again, Dale, as always.
Scott brings up 223-pound running back who runs a 4.33. That's Jamal Lewis. You guys remember how good he was? Oh boy, with the Baltimore Ravens, that
Okay, I thought it was me. I guess it was Chad. So I guess we're gonna keep it moving while Chad froze up. Scott, can you hear me? Okay, so yeah, we'll keep it moving. I guess Chad's having a little freeze up issue. Let's see what else we got in the chat. Keep it moving here. I see people talking about Najee Harris, the Chargers running back. Yeah, I don't know that the Broncos are going to go after Najee. I feel like he wouldn't fit in this offense. He's coming off an injury. He's a big-bodied guy that they can definitely improve on. I think Chad's coming back in the room though. Oh, or not. Frozen chat on a stick. That's pretty funny. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so I'll get this really quickly. Byron Lewis, $49.99. Thank you so much, Byron. Forget Kamara. What about Mike Washington Jr. with a 4.3 40 time? What round do you think he will go? That's a good question, Byron. I know Chad's big on him as well. This is a player that would fit in the offense in the same way that we wanted Jahmyr Gibbs. So not a power back by any means, but a guy who's kind of rocked up and can take it to the end zone from any point on the field. I think he's going to be going earlier than people anticipate, Byron. I don't know about first round necessarily, although, crazier things have happened, but I do think he will go with a premium pick. And just as what we talked about with any other position, if the Broncos don't address that in free agency, they don't acquire one via signing, via trade, then they will attack it in the draft. But you're not going to address a position in the early rounds when you went out and signed one or traded for one and gave up compensation. And there we go. We got my partner in crime back.
Sorry, guys. I have no idea what happened. I don't know if it's my internet connection or what. I just got bounced from the studio. That was really weird. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on as good an internet as you can get, hardline too. So I don't know what the heck that was, man. I apologize about that, guys. And I'm with you, Byron. Forget about Kamara, man. Like there's other options. And Mike Washington, oh boy, he's very interesting.
Yeah, thank you so much, Byron. I saw we have another big one from Dale here. D-Dub, thank you so much, man. He goes on the Davis Webb change. I think it was more about getting the plays out on time than anything. Absolutely. Bo needs to get to the line of scrimmage quickly in order to see what the defense is doing. He was clearly frustrated when that did not happen. I also think the OC collab with Webb will be better than the head coach and quarterback. You are bang on accurate, D-Dub. And this is something we've both talked about, Chad and I, at different points over the last year, really. The buffer between Sean and Bo has been Davis Webb. And you need that. Even going back to the old Broncos days with Mike Shanahan, you need that younger coach to be the go-between, the more relatable guy. And I don't think Sean Payton at 60 years old is relating to Bo Nix at 25 years old. Davis Webb, though, is much more relatable. So there's that factor for sure. And also, yeah, the play calls were like Cheesecake Factory menu items. They were like 2 minutes long, each play call. It was leading to literal delay of game penalties. And in Bo's rookie year, Dale, there's a shot, and I reference this a lot, where Bo's receiving the play in the huddle, and he's looking back while the clock's winding down because he still hasn't gotten the chance to get set yet. That's a big component for it, is being more concise, and Davis Webb will cut the offense down to suit Bo Nix. Thank you again for the big super.
Hey, Scott, real quick, before I riff on something that D-Dub said here, can you, I don't want to risk it because I don't know what just happened. I don't want to open up a new tab, but will you check the mock draft big board, the consensus on Mike Washington, and just see what it's at now? I'm just curious. But yeah, that was something, D-Dub, that Sean Payton did emphasize on Tuesday, that they'll be quote unquote quicker getting in the calls. So that definitely had to have played some kind of a role. But you ask yourself, so you're the one that's in control of that, coach. Like, what was it in your process that made you unable to get the calls in in a timely manner? And what would Davis Webb's process be that would be any different? I'd be really curious to know that, but I don't think we'll ever get an answer to that.
If you listen to Sean Payton, that's just how he speaks, though. He's kind of a drawn out, kind of deliberate, belabored speaker. Maybe Davis Webb speaks faster. Maybe he can get the play calls in faster on that basis alone. And if he can, more power to him. It would help out Bo Nix.
Yeah, but it's an interesting pairing. I mean, the NFL has been very, very, very interested in Davis Webb 2 off seasons in a row now. That was another thing that Sean Payton talked about on Tuesday, how, his plan for coaches and sometimes with players, the way they progress and develop, it's not always on, pardon me, your timeline, meaning like sometimes these guys grow up and get wings and fly the coop before you're really ready to let them go. And in Davis Webb's case, Zach, it would not surprise me in the least. Seriously, it would not surprise me if he goes 1 year as the offensive coordinator, kills it, adios. He's gone
Oh
to
yeah.
some head coaching. I mean, now that the NFL is just cycling through head coaches at the rate that they do now, 10 vacancies. And there's some people who believe he could have taken the Raiders job. Like he just chose not to. They ended up waiting it out for Kubiak. But that's a bridge that the Broncos will cross when they get to it. But a lot of that depends, Zach, on how well this offense does with him at the helm, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think unless he face plants completely and the Broncos have like a 3-win season, God forbid, it's all but guaranteed that Davis Webb will be getting a head coaching job in 2027. That's the plan. They're trying to hold on to him as long as they can, and they have for the last 2 seasons, but you can't hold on to these guys forever. You have to let them fly. And like I mentioned earlier, it would reflect well on Sean Payton. It would reflect well on the Broncos organization when, not if, Webb gets a head coaching job. Thank you again, though, Dale.
No doubt. That Sean Payton coaching tree is really starting to blossom, isn't it? I mean, it's going. He's got two guys that are head coaches, right? And Dan Campbell and now Joe Brady. I'm trying to think if there's another one I'm missing, and then several guys at offensive coordinator around the league, Declan Doyle. He was another guy, by the way, D-Dub, that Payton talked about as just not on the timeline. Like he expected to have him around maybe a little bit longer, but his reputation, he was out of there pretty quickly. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Now, the average, real quick, going back to, and actually, before I do this, I just want to say, guys, D-Dub, Byron, Lady D, all of you, Papa Bear, Sam Bam, and so many other folks who might not even be in the room tonight, but you know who you are when you hear this. We are so fortunate here at MHH to have you guys in our community. Like, we recognize how special this is and how rare this is for folks to support us the way that you do. And we take it as not only a huge honor and privilege, but also as a big mark of responsibility. And I hope you know that. We really do try to work hard for you guys and keep bringing the coverage and the content and the charisma and the conversation 7 nights a week. So I just wanted to throw that out there because sometimes, man, it happens so fast and we got to get through these conversations and we've got about an hour to do our show. And I don't ever want it to come off like we take this for granted. We do not. So love you, D-Dub. Thank you so much, buddy. And I just wanted to say that real quick. But back to real fast to Byron. So currently, Mike Washington's average draft position on the mock draft big board, consensus big board, is 114, 114th overall. Zach, I will be shocked now if he gets past the second round, for what it's worth. Yeah. So what round do you think he'll go? You're asking, dude. I think he ends up being an early second round pick because of what he did at the combine, combined with, he was impressive at the Senior Bowl. And then he also had his playing career at Arkansas. He's a very interesting option for the Broncos, Zach, depending on what they do in free agency, because that first, second down consistency issue, that down to down stuff, he's a guy that can check that box. The one red flag, I don't have the number off the top of my head. Eric could spit it out right now, but he has a higher than you'd like to see fumble rate.
And when you're 6'1", 223, and you run a 4.3 40, you're going to get some looks in the NFL. You're going to go fairly high. That's what I was saying earlier when you were coming back in, Chad. The consensus is the middle rounds, but I don't think maybe a first-round talent, but definitely I think the second round, a premium round 4 premium selection. If the Broncos want to make the move, if they don't address running back in free agency, I would not be upset. Thank you again, though, Byron.
Shannon is rolling with the punches of some dental issues. Probably it's a really gnarly toothache. And here she is throwing down a generous super sticker.
Thank you so much.
Love you, Shannon. Thank you so much, my friend. And this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I was trying to say is, man, we are so fortunate and grateful to have you guys. So thank you so much, Shannon. Look at this. Lady D checking in.
Unbelievable.
Her third top rope super chat, and she's tripling what she did even on the first one. So Lady D, my hat is off to you. You get the Chrome Dome. All right. Chrome Dome. I love you. You know that. I appreciate you. Both of us do. She says, just sending some love since I've been on vacation and missed you guys. Well, I'm just glad, Lady D, that you and the hubby were able to get away from that minus 38 business. Man, that's harsh. That's harsh. I'm excited for Webb to be play calling, she says. I'm hoping to get some premium players either in free agency or the draft. We need some depth on the offensive line. And it's funny how the Bills took our coaches. We love you guys too. Well, yeah, it's interesting, Zach. You look at all three coordinators of the Buffalo Bills are recent former Broncos coaches. Pete Carmichael decided to leave the comfortable, familiar cushion of being a Sean Payton assistant, Zach, and took the offensive coordinator job with Joe Brady. So he's gone. We all know Jim Leonard took the defensive coordinator position, his first in the NFL. And then what's his name? It's escaping me. The special teams coordinator who was the coordinator under Foxy back when John Fox first took the job in 2011. I brain farting his name right this second, but yeah, kind of a weird coinkydink.
Was it D. Camillus? No, it wasn't.
No, that was Coob's guy.
That's right.
He joined, and he joined Baby Coob in Vegas. I'm pretty sure D. Camillus did.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I saw something about that, and he's not the only one either. To your point, Deanna, a lot of NFL teams are looking the Broncos' way for coaches. The Raider staff now has D. Camillus. They also have Zach Azzani, former receivers coach for the Broncos. He's out in Vegas now as well. So I thought for a team that's so bad, guys, that is so so not worthy of anything, their NFL is rating their coaches and soon to be rating their players on the open market like JFM. I'm a little tongue-tied, Deanna, because of your generosity. Seriously, to look at that right there, knowing what you've done, knowing what you're going through, and knowing what you do each and every podcast. I've said it a lot. I'll keep stuttering. I'll say it again. Thank you so much. It is truly incredible from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Jeff Rogers, that's the name. Sorry. I would have just Googled it while I was trying to think it, but I don't want to open up another tab. I don't know what's going on with my Chrome tonight that bounced me earlier. So anyway, that's the point. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see how this search, as she puts it, Zach, for premium players shakes out. Bob Morris has an article coming out here probably right after the stream tonight that's breaking down some receiver options. And, you know, he's pretty high on the possibility, Zach, or the prospect of going after A.J. Brown on the trade market. But I'm not convinced, like if it took a second round pick or even like the Broncos 30th overall to get him, I'm not sure he'd be worth that relative to what the Broncos need. But they're in a position right now, Zach, where they are pretty well set. They just have a few little tweaks. They finally got the albatross of Russell Wilson's contract off the books. So they're feeling pretty good. It's going to be fun to see how they start moving. But, you know, the first thing is first, they got to decide on which of their free agents they're bringing back. I think you're going to see Singleton. I think you're going to see JK come back, and then we'll see.
A.J. Brown is a better version of Courtland Sutton. To your point, Chad, I don't think it's what the Broncos need. They need someone like Jalen Waddle, someone that could take the top off and be a complement to Courtland Sutton. And I'm confident the Broncos are going to get one of those players. They're going to be aggressive and finally help out Bo Nix and square away as much as their priorities as they can before the draft. It's going to be exciting, though. And like Chad said, they got to decide on Singleton, Sternad. They have a couple other free agents. JFM is probably gone. He's going to get a bag from someone. We've heard Atlanta could be calling for him, but he's going to go fairly quickly. It's going to be hot and heavy, and we're both here for it. I cannot wait for the open market signings.
I still would love to know the real reason why the Broncos just haven't really shown any interest in bringing JFM back, considering how productive he's been since he arrived. We've never gotten a satisfactory answer, and honestly, it's never really been asked that way. Like, hey, coach, you went to Malcolm Roach during the bye week. You went to Luke Wattenberg. You went to Will Lutz. Who am I missing? There's one more. Isn't there? Isn't there one more? Either way, how come not JFM? Like, what's holding this thing back? I would love to know that. But anyway, Lady D, we love you. Give our best to the hubby. And guys, get warm. Get warm up there. Tucson Phil checking in on Facebook saying, good evening, Chad and Zach and Deacon Scott. If we had a choice between Pregnon or Lee Hunter, who are you picking? Buckham, MHH for life, Broncos for life. So very good starter caliber interior offensive lineman, Zach, or a can't move him off the point of attack, just space eating nose tackle, Lee Hunter. What do you say?
Yeah. I like the way your head's at, Phil, attacking the trenches. I got to go Pregnon, just offensive line, because of the uncertainty with Ben Powers. I think you're a little more certain on the interior defensive line than you are on the interior offensive line. And you might want to move off of him now or in the future. You want to have that backup plan and not be scrambling last minute and forcing someone in there. Pregnon would be my call here.
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with him. I'm still learning a little bit about Pregnon, but watching Lee Hunter for 3 days at the Senior Bowl, he is impressive. I wouldn't hate it, but I don't know if he's quite worthy. If you look at how he tested at the combine, I'm not sure he's a 30 overall guy. But then again, you're barely not a second round pick, so it's kind of hard to. There's only 2 more picks, and all of a sudden you're in the second round. If I'm the Broncos and I'm at that position in the draft, and those are my 2 best options on my board, I'm probably trading back and just seeing what, if there's someone who wants to move up and take our spot, stockpile some picks. But good question, brother. Thank you very much. We got here also. I'm going to grab Smouse in the house first, and then we'll grab NV Steiny. Unique prepping, brother. So proud of you, everything you've done. Kicking butt as a YouTuber in your own right, dude. He says, this is for the MHH community. You guys helped me grow in the 6.5 years I've known you. Has it been that long? Isn't that crazy, dude? That's a long time. Thank you for everything. Thank you, big dog. We're proud of you. We really are, buddy, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Smouse. Appreciate it. Everything that you've done, everything that you will continue to do, and anything we can do, please never be afraid to reach out. Thank you.
You guys, drop a 1 in the chat if you were around for the episode where we had Zachary on the show. Drop a 1 if you can remember that. It was one of the most memorable live streams I've ever done. And he really is, or if you're familiar with what he does on his YouTube channel, but because, he's a true inspiration and a guy who perseveres and lets nothing set him back or get him down. So he's an awesome dude. Appreciate you, brother. All right, Zach, let's grab NV Steiny, newer name, but then again, it's showing the handle. So if we saw the name, it might be a name we recognize. But jumping in to say it, guys, I wanted to ask, what round would the Ole Miss receiver Deshaun Stribling go? I think he'd be a great addition and game changer. I am not sure. I'm going to check something out real quick. Hold tight. There we go. He's currently projected from the mock draft database, the big board, Zach, 188th overall. So that's somewhere in the 6th round. I haven't spent a lot of time watching him yet, so I don't want to mislead you and just pretend like I know what I'm talking about on this particular player, but he's definitely, if 5th, 6th round pick, I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say from a macro standpoint. If no matter what the Broncos do, if they go out and acquire a Jalen Waddle or a Garrett Wilson, let's say, I still would want them to double dip in the draft. Maybe not in round 1 or round 2. They have more pressing needs elsewhere, but certainly in round 4, 5, 6, it's worth it to take a flyer and just see if you can find a gamer. And Stribling could be the one here. So that's my take on it. No matter who the player is, if they fit the scheme, obviously that's what you want. But I would want the Broncos to be aggressive in upgrading receiver because they don't just need one. They could use a few going into the next season.
Yeah, dude. There's some interesting wideouts that are going to be available to the Broncos. Like one guy that had some ups, had some downs at the combine, but more ups in my opinion than downs is Indiana's Elijah Surratt. He's a guy I could see the Broncos with Sean Payton getting really interested in, but probably, you're looking at a 2nd round pick if he's there at 62. So a lot of receiver options. Zach, the Broncos need receiver. They need running back. They need tight end as far as offense is concerned. Yeah, and they're always going to look to bolster the O-line, but this is a good draft to be in the market for those positions.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier. The Broncos, where they're light, the draft is particularly heavy and it's going to intersect their needs quite well. So it's a win-win this offseason. If they just attack it pragmatically, they're going to come away A-okay.
Yeah, we might have to get Zachary. You might have to come on again here pretty soon, man. I'm getting some ones in the chat who remember your episode, but not enough ones, and it's kind of crazy. I don't remember what year that was that we had Smouse on. Maybe 2021. I'm not 100% sure, somewhere in there. So the chat, we've grown by 3 or 4x since then. So I don't fault that a lot of the folks in the chat right now might not have been around for that. So Zachary, now that we're hitting the off season, we're going to be able to start doing some more, bringing back the superstar segments. we might have to bring you back on, dude. I'll be reaching out because that was a lot of fun. If you're up for it anyway, you'll have to let me know. DM me, buddy. But Steiny, thanks, pal. Really appreciate the super chat support. Let me click that off. Oh yeah, where are we at? 49 minutes. Man, time flies when you're having fun. Glenn says, Chad, Zach, is it just me or do you see us trading back to add some capital and get the players that fit? Unless they really want an offensive tackle, guard, or Anthony Hill Jr., if Ty Simpson's on the board, we could get a bag. It really just depends on how the board falls, but I wouldn't hate it because honestly, Zach, yeah, you get with the first round, the benefit you get there is that 5th-year option, that you can always hold on in your back pocket or whatever. But otherwise, you're so close to picking in the second round anyway. In terms of the quality
Right.
of player,
Right.
it's kind of sixes.
Yeah, it's a really great point. And also, for as much as we scream every year, oh, George Payton wants to trade back, Sean Payton wants to trade up, the reality is they stay put more than likely, and they just take the best player on their board. We have no idea who that player is going to be. We'll have maybe a clearer idea after free agency, but they're going to go BPA, and it's not going to be the player we all might want. No one really saw Jahdae Barron coming last year at number 20. I certainly did not. I'll speak for myself. They don't care, though. They have a board. They stick to it, and if that guy's on that board and they don't want to move back, they're going to just stick to their guns. So we'll see, Glenn, as it gets closer, how that board might look. Thank you for the comment.
All right, guys, we're not getting out of here quite yet, so don't leave. We're going to go through a few messages with you real quick, and then while Zach's going through those, I'm going to find a couple more things in the chat here before we dip.
Another tremendous episode, as always, of the Mile High Huddle podcast. If you're not doing so, please follow us on X at the MHH Pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so yet, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, please join the new MHH Discord server. The link is in the description below. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football pre-save 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important, as always, that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans, just like you.
I like this, Zach, from Mike Thompson, dear member. Turns out the Styles brothers' dad had him running speed drills at 5. So now I have my 6-year-old running 2-a-days to make up for lost time. Yeah, man. It's crazy how well those guys tested at the combine. And then I saw a picture of them standing with their dad in between them. And you're like, wow, man. Those are some, you look at like, carved from Greek god, like physical, just perfection, these guys, and then they tested. So they look that way and they test that way. Although I think it's going to avail Sonny Styles a lot more than it will his little brother.
Yeah, Mike, we'll check back in about, 15 years or so and see where he's doing. But I appreciate you sharing that with us. It's pretty funny.
By the way, David T, man, I'm sorry that you still been going through it in and out of the hospital, or in the hospital. Or no, back home, he says. Can speak again using voice prompt, but 5 months in that hospital was depressing. Buddy, I'm so glad you're home now, dude. That is great news for you. And everyone around here will be keeping you in our thoughts and prayers for sure.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, David. Anything we can do to help your stay at home now feel better, let us know. But we're happy to hear that. Thank you.
Last one, guys, and we got to dip on out, and it's an interesting topic. Todd brings up that Alec Pierce, the Colts free agent receiver who had a ridiculous year as a down the field receiver last year, that he'd be a good option, but it seems like the Broncos would just be adding another number 2 kind of caliber guy. Zach, some people, this is a topic I think MHH as a staff generally is pretty split on. Some people are like goo goo gaga over Alec Pierce as a Bronco. I'm not, dude. I don't know why. I just don't. If you're looking for that thing that the Broncos are needing, that gap, that vacancy in skill set, I mean, he's a go down the field and get it, but the Broncos have some guys that can do that. Cortland Sutton can go up and get the ball. He's maybe not going to blow anybody away with his speed, Zach, Marvin Mims can take the top off if you actually start using him that way, like you were doing in the playoffs. What are your thoughts on Alec Pierce?
I'm right there with you. I think Alec Pierce is afflicted by a little bit of John Ross syndrome, whereas a player runs really fast in a straight line, and he seems attractive because he catches passes deep down the field. But if you look at his game log, and I've said this before, and we have a couple people in the community, I think Mike Thompson's one. Not to put him on blast, I hope I didn't get that wrong, but there are some Broncos fans that are very high on Alec Pierce. I just don't see it. I watched a lot of Colts football last year. I didn't see a true stud number one, no doubt about it, in Alec Pierce. I didn't. Michael Pittman on that team is more of a number one than Alec Pierce was. And like you said, Chad, if they want a speed guy, you have Franklin, you have Mims. They're a dime a dozen. Go out and draft one. I would not throw a bag at Alec Pierce. I simply wouldn't.
Well said. All right, guys, a mile high salute and a very special shout out to the great, phenomenal Super Chat superstars, supporters, dear members tonight. Really going to great length to help us keep the lights on. Like the Lady D going off not only with some multiple supers, but also with some memberships in the chat. We love you. And also, Shannon, hope you get to that dentist very, very soon. We love you. Sam Bam, Larry, D-Dub, top roping it. Byron Lewis, multiple top ropes, by the way, from D-Dub. Byron, thank you, pal. Let's see here. Steiny, Papa Bear all of a sudden disappeared from my starred list, so I don't know why he missed, but Papa Bear. Let me see here. Tucson Phil, Smouse in the house. And I hope I didn't miss anybody, but that's why, because I had to leave and come back. It cut off the top one. So I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but if I am, it's a weird situation. You know, I love you guys. So we'll see you tomorrow, though. Zach and I are back. It's Sunday, so we're back tomorrow, Monday night. We'll see, we'll have the full view of the combine. And tomorrow morning, Broncos for breakfast, super early for you early risers. Hope you have a great start to your week, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Have a great rest of your Sunday. We will see you tomorrow night. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.